you would agree that with spiraling data growth, businesses need to develop a robust data storage, management, and capitalization strategy to be successful, especially in unprecedented time like COVID. As remote work has become the staple working style of organizations, business leaders need to develop the capacity for data agility. The faster a business is extracting value from data, the more efficient it becomes. Today, I have with me Mr. B.S. Tay, Senior Vice President of Global Sales and Sales Operations at Seagate. Mr. Tay joined Seagate in 1989 as Field Customer Engineer. He has served in a variety of leadership roles with the company across multiple functions such as sales, marketing, business operations, and field technical support across various geographies like California, Singapore, and Shanghai. Most recently, he was Senior Vice President of Asia Pacific Sales and Marketing based in Singapore. Welcome, Mr. Tay, and I'm looking forward to capturing your views around trends in enterprise data management.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So, Mr. Tay, my question to you is, with spiraling data growth, businesses need to develop a robust data storage, management, and capitalization strategy to be successful, especially in the new normal. What's your take on this?
You're absolutely right, Aya. I think in today's world, data is the most important commodity that any businesses should have. I think what we see is really a situation where a lot of companies are not truly harnessing the data that they're really generating. In fact, studies have shown that they're only using 32% of the data out there. Now, this is truly a missed opportunity.
Sure. So the rethink data, put more of your business data to work. Report has indicated that only a very small amount of data available to the organization is put to work. Like you said, 32%. The remaining goes unleveraged. What's your take on companies trying to gain better insight from the data in today's economy?
Absolutely. I think that's the challenge that most enterprises are facing. I think you have to also consider that enterprises are growing their data about an average of 42.5% every year. Now in India, it's even higher than that, it's over 45%. The challenge for the industry really is, what do they do? I think there's about 4 different challenges that they face. Number 1 is how do they capture all of the data that they're generating? Number 2 is how do they store all the data that they're generating? Thirdly, how do they actually make use of it and really translate that into useful information? Number 4 is how do they actually secure the data? These are really very, very critical challenges that all enterprises are facing.
What are the typical challenges you have come across while talking to customers or potential customers with regards to management of data in motion, particularly?
I think what we have right now, Daya, is the situation that data is now sprawled across what we call multi-cloud, meaning in different locations. And because of that, there is a requirement for data to actually move across all the clouds. In fact, the Rethink Data survey shows that more than 57% of the data will be in motion. Now, this creates several issues. Right? One is security is really a very, very big issue because, as I mentioned earlier, right, there is a concern about security of the data at rest, and there's a concern about the security in motion, and there are different ways that we have to address these challenges.
There has been a growing concern around data security. What is your take on challenges, as you mentioned, faced by organizations with respect to data security? How's the scenario in India?
Data security is absolutely critical. And in fact, in Indian respondents in their Rethink survey has really ranked security as one of the most critical challenges. There's actually different areas that you look at. One, the data at rest. When you actually store the data, how secure is the device or the location where you store the data? And secondly, is when the data is in motion, meaning when you're actually transferring the data from one location to another and streaming it either over fiber or over Wi-Fi and all that. How do you actually keep that secure? So that is a challenge that the industry has. As far as Seagate is concerned, right? We have very, very secure drives with security features on our disk drives itself, right? Which we really ensure that when the data is at rest in our devices, it's actually very, very secure. Then as far as, ensuring the security of the data in motion, that's really a question of how you look at the software that is really managing the movement of the data. And that is really a critical area of interest for Seagate and all of those in the storage industry as well.
Okay, thank you so much. How do you see the emergence of data ops? Would you like to share some global trends, and particularly how is it shaping up in India?
Data ops is a very important new area of discipline, in our view. And in the recent Rethink survey data, it shows that more than 80% of businesses believe that it is very, very critical. And less than 10% of companies are actually having that discipline. Now, fundamentally, data ops, what is it? It is really a convergence or management of the data creation with the data consumption. So think about it as you're generating data and creating data on one end, and you're actually consuming the data on the other. How do you actually manage that transition, right? From taking what has been created in translating that into how it can be consumed and used. That is really what data ops is all about.
Sure, great, great. There is no denying the fact that data empowers organizations. How do you see the market evolving in next 2 to 3 years? What is your key message to the CXOs for driving tangible action items by putting more data in use?
What is without doubt, Daya, is more and more data will be generated over the next 2 to 3 years. I mentioned earlier that the industry will be generating on average about 42.5% more data every single year. What the challenge that companies are facing is how do they really make use of more of the data that they're actually generating. And it really starts from, can you capture all of the data? Can you actually store it? And can you actually analyze it and translate that into beneficial outcomes? Studies have also shown that companies that leverage and utilize more of the data that they're generating actually lead to much better business outcomes, whether it's revenue, profits, customer satisfaction, customer loyalty. It is really a very, very important part of the business.
Fair enough. Great. With your experience, Mr. Te, how many companies have a robust data management approach in India? How is the situation compared to their global counterparts?
India is not really that unique compared to the rest of the world in terms of how they view the importance of data. In fact, I would say that Indian companies view data as more critical, on average, right? More than 50% of Indian companies generally feel that the progress of enterprises managing data is satisfactory. However, there's a large proportion of the respondents feel that there's more that needs to be done. More than 60% feel that there's more improvement that's really needed. Indian respondents also feel that data analytics, more than 50% of the respondents feel that data analytics is the most critical discipline, really. And that really is all about translating the data that's generated and analyzing it, and therefore turning it into information that's really useful and really allowing us to make the right decisions.
Sure. Has there been any impact of effective data management on the efficiency of the companies in India? How can companies drive further improvements in this area? Maybe some examples if you could share from your experience.
Yes, I mean, certainly, as I mentioned earlier, there has been improvement in India without a doubt. And we believe and we see that progress continue to really be made. There is a higher proportion of Indian companies that are really deploying the data ops discipline. I mentioned earlier, globally, there's really only about 10% of companies in the world that really has this data ops discipline. In India, that percentage is higher at over 20%. Now, this is really a very, very good sign because it really shows the awareness of Indian companies over the importance of managing data, securing data, and actually utilizing the data. And we believe that with this improvement, we will see companies really becoming stronger and becoming, really having better business outcomes as they're able to leverage more of the data that they're generating.
Fantastic, fantastic. That brings me to my last question, Mr. Tay, to you. How does the Indian market fare in overall strategy for Seagate? You can share your thoughts on that.
The Indian market is extremely important and strategic to Seagate, and I would really characterize it this way. I think in the past, the Indian market is largely very, as far as the data storage market is concerned, it's very consumer-based, right? We sell a lot of storage to consumer markets, whether they're PCs or consumer storage devices. But in the last few years, what we see is the emergence of a very, very important and strategic enterprise storage business, whether it is private cloud or even the public cloud. We believe that India is going to be leading the way in terms of the growth of storage. And that's what makes India a very attractive and strategic market. And it's also, if you look at the size of the population, that really speaks to the opportunity that exists in India.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Tay, for sharing the insights with us today. I hope that this would be real helpful for industry leaders to take a note of the trends in enterprise data management and prepare a robust strategy for their respective organization in order to gain competitive advantage. Thank you once again, Mr. Tay, for joining us today in this conversation.
Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it.